On the eve of the vote on whether or not to begin impeachment trials against President Trump, the commander in chief decided to send a 6-page rambling letter to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, in it, there were some, shall we say, inaccuracies, as well as a little bit of questionable rhetoric. So let me give you some examples. Uh, One, he starts out by saying that the impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. Yeah, so he like, I don't think he really knows the history. I'm not even sure he's the one who wrote it. Let's be honest about that. But he might have been one, obviously, one of the people who dictated it to someone else to write it on their behalf, and because you can tell from the legible sentences. Anyway, now as far as the substance goes, look, impeachment has happened before. Trump would actually be the third president to be impeached now, and so look, it's not unprecedented. Okay, impeachment, by the way, is also literally in the Constitution. That's how they can do it. I'm just saying. Now, again, the truth is, all right. The truth is literally the opposite of what they're saying here. And I'm going to give you a great example. He said, by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you are violating your oaths of office. You are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, and you are declaring open war on American democracy. Really? Again, the complete opposite. Uh, he also says, it is a terrible thing that you are doing, but you will have to live with it. Not I. Wait, that doesn't even make any sense. Obviously, you would go down in history as the third president to be impeached. You are going to have to live with it. Whether or not you actually do get removed from office, that could affect, if you don't, it could affect your election chances going into 2020. Or if you are removed, obviously it's going to be affected you because you will have been removed from office. Again, not a huge chance of that happening, but still, it will be. There will be some effect on Donald Trump. Now, there's more. He also says you view democracy as your enemy, and you conducted a fake investigation upon the democratically elected president of the United States, and you're doing it yet again. What does he mean by again? Oh, right, the Mueller investigation. Funny, because the Mueller investigation was not started by Nancy Pelosi or the Democrats. The Mueller investigation was started by Mr. Rosenstein. Rosenstein appointed Mueller to do the investigation into Donald Trump and whether his ties had or his campaign had ties with the Russians. I mean, does he literally think Nancy Pelosi is behind everything wrong the bad that has happened to him and the Democrats? That's crazy. Now, what's funny is, and there's some irony here, one of the favors Donald Trump asked Zelensky for is the CrowdStrike server. Can you help me find the CrowdStrike server? Supposedly hidden in Ukraine, that is there, and I guess has information that debunks the entire Russia narrative, right? The fact that Russia stole Podesta's emails. That's what they're looking for, man. There's more. If you truly cared about freedom and liberty for our nation, he says, then you would be devoting your vast investigative resources to exposing the full truth concerning the horrifying abuses of power before, during, and after the 2016 election, including the use of spies against my campaign. Okay. First of all, there's no evidence of any of that. In fact, the IG, the Inspector General, the State Department, the Michael Horowitz, recently released a report that said that there is no evidence of the Trump campaign being spied on. That's the Inspector General of the Trump administration. Now, one more. More due process was afforded to those accused in the Salem witch trials. Oh, man, that persecution complex, man. Wow. you realize that people that were accused of witchcraft in Salem were generally stripped, tied up, and sometimes thrown into a river to see if they would sink or float, among other insane tests to prove you were not a witch. Which, by the way, Christine O'Donnell, she says she's not a witch. Just random fact. Look, that's horrible. And he says, oh, no. The Salem witch trial people, they got more due process than I did. BS. By the way, isn't due process when you commit a crime? Look, Donald Trump has committed crimes. But since impeachment is not a criminal trial and is a political trial, you actually don't have due process. Now you have a process for impeachment, and Democrats followed that process for this political trial to a T. In fact, they gave up too much and actually, went by terms dictated by the Republicans, who, of course, do not support impeachment whatsoever. And the Democrats still went on their terms. I mean, what more could you want? What more? Well, I know what they want. For Democrats to completely drop the impeachment and then do everything the Republicans want them to. So, anyway, bad comparison, right? So, as you can see, and this, again, this 6 pages of this nonsense. This letter is filled with ridiculous arguments, falsehoods, and unabashed whining. And so, of course, that means that it did get savaged on social media. Let me give you a couple of examples. Daniel Dale said, Trump's letter to Pelosi is like his tweets put to letterhead. Yeah, it does sound like it, doesn't it? Aaron Rupar says, this letter is just unhinged as Trump's tweets, only copy edited. Jack Holmes said, another normal day in another country. 5+ pages of this in a normal country. Bradley Moss says, this letter is beneath the dignity of the office of the Trump currently occupies. True. Karen Myatt says, mean tweets mashed together to make a letter. Someone take his crayons away. And finally, Travis Akers says, 3 takeaways. No chance, there's absolutely 0 chance President Trump wrote this himself. Like there's some theories that it's Stephen Miller. Obviously, he's scared right now. And then 3, he has had multiple opportunities to testify himself and could in his Senate trial, but he won't. I think that's the most important point there that he makes. Because, look, he could call witnesses. Yeah. Now, will he? No, of course not. Because McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and the rest of the Republican Party say, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Why? Well, look, Trump's witnesses that he wants to call are people like Adam Schiff. What does Adam Schiff have to do with whether or not Donald Trump broke campaign finance law in asking a foreign country to interfere in our elections? What does that have to do with that? Anything. He also wants to have Hunter Biden testify. Really? Nonsensical. It offers no actual defense of Donald Trump. And look, let's be honest, there is no actual defense for Donald Trump. He clearly did quid pro quo or extortion by asking a foreign power to try to interfere in the election to go after his political opponents. And he withheld military aid to Ukraine in order to do so until he got caught. No amount of whining, crying, or rattling off of insane conspiracy theories is going to do that. What remains to be seen now is, look, again, the House is very likely to vote to impeach the president. So this will go to a Senate trial. And we're going to see if, or just how the Republicans, or just how much Republican senators actually care about the country and our laws and the office of the presidency and all that to hold him accountable. And I think we already pretty much know the answer to that. Very likely Republicans are going to let him off. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.